Hey, it's Spoiler Country. I'm Kenric Regan. That's John Horsley over there. Today on our show, we have the variant covers and our thoughts of what that means to the industry and how we feel about it as readers and collectors. So, Johnny, what do you think about variants?
I'm torn on them. So, I have two feelings of variants. One, I don't like them, and two, I don't like them.
Right.
And then on the third option, I also don't like them. But on the fourth option, I kind of like some of them. That's how I feel about variants.
I want to say I'm on the fence, but I'm in a similar position. I don't have four options. I have two options. I hate them and I love them at the same time.
Right.
I hate how they make them and how what the comic book stores have to do to get them. I don't think it's fair. But I love the fact that I have like 6 different covers for Copperhead #1.
You and that Copperhead. You should just marry your.
I know. But I'm just saying, I did buy all these different variants, and I did buy other variants for other stuff. And sometimes I really like it. I think it just happens way too much. And I just think they have comic book stores under the gun. Because I talked to a few comic book store owners and asked them that very question, what do you think of variants? And the answer is always the same. I feel like they're holding a gun to my head because I have some of my bigger shoppers want the variant covers. And they want some of those really rare ones. Now I can either let them go to eBay and pay the $300 for the cover, or they can pay me $300 for that variant. But I have to get stuck with all these other books that don't sell. And I have to purchase them, not just order them and then they show up. And then if I have anything left over, I can send them back. No, that's not how it works.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I don't think that's right.
No, for me, it's like, okay, so when I'm in collector mode, I'm a completionist, right? I want the whole run, everything. In so much that when I was collecting like the 90s Superman books, kind of trying to complete that set, which I ended up completing it and then sold it. I had all the regular covers, but I also went out and made sure I had all the newsstand covers too. So I had both the direct edition and the newsstand edition, where the only difference was the freaking barcode, was gone on one and present on the other.
Right.
So when they have variants, I'm like, yeah, okay, there's a variant for an issue, whatever. I want to have both of them because I want a complete set, and I have that completionist mindset. But to be completely honest, the last couple of years, it's kind of broken me as a collector, right? It's broken me as a completionist, where I've lost the ability to give a shit about so many variants. Like, I have a list here. I'm going to go down and we're going to read through in a minute of the top 10 variants with how many variants they had. Just think it's going to be interesting to kind of like see, so people can understand how many different covers they have for the same book. Like, it's the same inside, which is a different wrapping that they charge you $20, $30, $40, $100, $200 for or more, just for a different picture on the front.
Right, because something's weird about it. It used to be, I don't want to say used to be, I don't know. I'm talking out my ass. I feel like it used to be a special occasion that a variant cover was done.
No, it did. It was. And
you had a special artist that, somebody else was doing the cover for Batman, and then all of a sudden Jim Lee did a variant cover for it, or Frank Miller did a variant cover, because Jim Lee wasn't really active in the 80s, right? He was late 80s and then all through the 90s, right?
Right.
So when you had a variant cover in the 80s, it would be a very special occasion because it was like maybe 5 a year, right?
Well, and like variant covers in the 80s and even into the first part of the 90s, it was the variant cover was something special. It was a sparkly cover or a foil cover, or it had, not only was a variant cover, but it also had some more extra pages at the end. It was something special for that issue, not just an issue that had a different cover on the front, which, like, when they first started doing them in the 90s, it picked up more and more, and then it was part of the whole market crash that was there, and then it went away, and they still did variants here and there, and then anymore in the last 5 years, like, every issue has to have 1,000 variants.
Yeah, I don't like it. I mean, I can't say they did. I don't even know if they did variants in the 80s, and if they did, it was really rare. I have no idea.
It was super rare. So they did War of the Gods from DC Comics, which is a Wonder Woman short miniseries. Did have variant covers, but it had
Perez.
I believe it was a Perez series. I'm not sure, but I believe it was part of the. Man. I believe it was part of Perez's run. I'm not. I'll look it up real quick while I'm talking. It had variant covers, but what it had, it was like variant issues. It wasn't just a cover. It was a collector's edition that also had a poster. But each issue, the collector's edition had a different cover than the regular edition, and on it did. So it was 2 different editions of the book. So you could buy it, one without the poster and one with a poster and stuff like that.
It's kind of cool. That's kind of a cool way, but it was well known.
Yeah. It wasn't just like, oh, here's the same book with a different cover. Give me $1,000.
Man, I know when they did The Death of Wolverine, I bought that miniseries as it came out, right? And I think that was 2014. You could look up, and I swear to God, every single issue had like 24 different variants.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Oh, by the way,
That is crazy.
That was a George Perez book, the War of the Gods.
Yeah, it figures. I think he was a very big Wonder Woman writer in the 80s, right? He did the definitive Wonder Woman.
Yeah, it was great. It's a great series.
Wasn't he the one that changed it from Paradise Island to Themyscira?
Yes, he was.
Was that him?
Yeah.
See, I know a little bit about DC. I'm not completely in the dark. What?
But yeah, you're right. They put out so many variants for each issue. It's like, what's the point? Like, it annoys me because like for a long time it was the biggest companies that would do that were, Marvel has been really bad about putting out a regular cover, a 1 in 10 cover, a 1 in 25, 1 in 50, 1 in 100, and then various store variants, various convention variants. So a random issue, like issue 3 of a book which has no significance, would have 15 covers for no reason. Boom Studios would do it, other indie companies would do it, and for
Everybody does it.
They does it. Like DC, for a long time it was like you'd have the regular cover and you have a 1 in 10 cover of some issues but not every issue, right? For a long time, and then it's a couple years ago where DC started putting out the New 52. They started putting out the regular cover and the 125. They have to, because the way the market goes.
Yeah, but here's the deal, man. They're gonna keep putting out 24 different variants for the Death of Wolverine number 1, 2, 3, and 4 until comic book store owners finally stop purchasing those. When you have big collectors or big time comic book stores like Midtown Comics in New York City that'll buy 2,500 issues of, the Master Race to get the Jim Lee variant.
Yeah.
They're going to keep doing it,
That's ridiculous.
It's tough because it hurts the little comic book stores, the local ones that don't have the purchasing power to do that kind of stuff.
I feel like in buying variants, you're rewarding bad behavior.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where I hate it. But then I love it because then I know I have something that's a little bit different, Yeah,
I mean, variants are cool. I like some of the variant covers are really cool. They look awesome. Like the themed covers are kind of cool here and there. But all in all, it's anymore. I'm like, okay, well, the variant covers is kind of a waste of my time, right? Because anymore, back in the day, I say back in the day, I mean any time before in the last 20 years and back, you'd have a comic book. It ended up being a first appearance of a book, of a character, or some significant storyline, or somebody would die, or some event would happen that would make that book more popular than other books, and it would go up in value. Like, Amazing Spider-Man 344, the first Cletus Cassidy, who became Carnage, whatever. That book is in a series in a run, and it becomes more valuable than the books around it. But now you've got a book in a run that becomes more valuable because of a first appearance, but not the regular one off the news shelf, only if you have the freaking variants that you would buy. Only could buy if your store ordered multiple copies, or if you bought it off eBay. So only the variants go up in value, and the regular one sits, and it's who cares?
Right.
I mean, case in point, look at Edge of Spider-Verse number 2, which is the first appearance of Spider-Gwen. That book, it's a good book because Spider-Gwen's a popular character. It's about a $50 book now, which is good. But if you have the Greg Land variant cover, it's $200.
Right. Totally ridiculous. What was the variant with? There's a Speeder Parker. There's a Spider-Man. Variant with Mary Jane Watson as Venom, and it's worth like $1,500.
It's that's part of the new Venom. They're pushing Venom hard right now on Marvel covers and stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know what it was, but yeah,
it was a while ago. It was like 2006 though, right?
Oh, back then. Oh, yeah. The one they've retconned as be the first appearance of She-Venom now. Yeah, that one's gone up crazily because they've pushed.
Well, it was
Venom.
ultra rare.
Yeah.
That was one of the things with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, rarity is subjective, right?
Right. What do you know? There's a organization that is for literature and comics defense group.
CBLDF, Comic Book Legal Defense Fund.
Yeah, I like their variant covers, and I like why they do the variant covers specifically for them.
Right, because it goes to help.
Cool thing. Yeah. And they don't do every comic book that's out there, right?
They don't.
Like I have theirs for witches.
With variant covers, here's my opinion, right? I'm 100% fine to do a couple of variants for an issue 1, a couple of variants for like a first appearance character maybe, or a variant for like a last in a series. Actually, no, don't do it for a first appearance or like that. Let those naturally be in there. Do it for like an issue 1 or the end of the series or something like that, but leave the first appearances out of there. Or any variant for any issue that's for charity. I'm 100% okay with any charity variants, period. But when you have
Right.
a book come out and every single issue's got 3 to 10 or more variants, it's like there's no point now. I mean, it's ridiculous because you can say, oh well, there's only 100 of these. Well, yeah, but if you add up all the variants, there's 400,000 of them total, so it's not rare. It's not rare. It's has a high print run all in all because that's a story. Yeah, this cover doesn't have that, but who really cares?
It's just how do we get more money out of the comic book stores?
Right. It is. It's like
if you have a Diamond account, how do we make you order more? And that's all it comes down to.
When Secret Empire, the Captain America's a Nazi story came out, Secret Empire #1, Marvel claimed that was the highest purchased book that month because typically how a book gets listed as in its numbers is when you look at the Diamond orders, how many were ordered by comic book stores, that number is regular cover plus all variant covers into one lump number, right? So I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, so I'm going to make it up roughly for what I remember it being, right? So that one sold like, say, 200,000 copies with all variants included. But also that month, Batman 21 and 22, whatever the lenticular cover was with him and Flash came out, as well as Flash 21 or 22. I think it was 22 actually. Came out where it was a lenticular cover. There's a regular cover and a 3D cover, and it would flip back and forth between Flash and Batman holding the comedian's pin, right?
Right, I remember that. I got the variants of those.
Since those two books had different cover prices, one was $3.99, one was $4.99. They had different numbers. So they were listed separately. So each one of those 4 books sold like 130,000 copies. The regular cover and the variant cover. So if you added those two together, both of those books outsold Secret Empire #1 because, adding them together. So both companies were like, oh, we had the highest selling books this month. It's like, well, you did, but I mean, you also had a doubled variant, which doubled your sales,
Yeah, I don't like it. I mean, I like it. The collector portion of me likes the fact that I can get something a little special, but I really don't like the way it's implemented. And it's overused. It's so overused. But like I said, they're not going to stop doing it until comic book stores stop buying them. And you can't really blame them because the internet, things are different now. Like when I was in the 80s and 90s, that's you read the books and you went and got the books and you had to go to the store. And now people are purchasing off of eBay with, and downloading the digital copies, especially if they're not somebody that wants to collect comic books, but they like the medium. Right. They'll just download a digital copy. And all that kind of stuff hurts the underlying sales of DC, Marvel, Image, and all those publishers. So they have to come up with unique ways to produce more cash flow so that they can continue to hire those writers, continue to hire those illustrators, and do those things. So I can't fault them for that.
Right. No, I don't either.
I think the problem is that you would gain, I just kind of talked myself into a corner where I kind of support what they're doing because I kind of get it, right? Because I don't want them to go away. I don't want, from a business point of view, I don't want them to go away.
Right.
I don't want the shittiest ones to go away. Right. I don't want the ones that put out crap day in and day out with big boobs and small waves. And that's all they do because it's an expression of art.
Right.
And if they have to put out 40 variants of anything to get more shops to deliver, to send money to them so that they can stay in business, then I'm all for that. And I just kind of just convinced myself that if that's what they're doing and that's why, then they should continue.
Well, it's kind of like what I said earlier earlier on or in the last podcast. I don't remember. We don't have to like it, but they can do it if they want to do it. That's the thing. It's like we can sit here and talk about how we don't like variants. But I'm not saying they should stop making variants because if that's how they're making their money, that's how they're staying in business, and that's how we're going to keep getting more and more comic books, then put out all the variants you want. I'm just not going to be like, oh, this is awesome. I'm going to be, I hate these variants, but I understand why you're doing it.
Right. Because I wonder if they didn't have the 1 in 10s and the 1 in 25s, how many books would that comic book store actually order?
I can tell you the one local where I used to live when, what was it? One of the Marvel events that came out the last couple of years, like 5 years. I think it was called Infinity. There was like the 1 in 25, 100 variants, and he would order that many each month to get that one variant cover. And then like 6 months later, he still had 20, 30 copies of each book, plus the variant still didn't sell in the store. So he still had, a half box of comic books he had to buy to get these variants that didn't sell.
Yeah. That's the gamble that you take. Right. But what I'm saying though is if they didn't have
the incentiveness, but if you buy 10, you can buy this one.
Yeah, the incentive of the variant, exactly. Yeah, exactly. If they didn't have that incentive and said, hey, if you buy 10, And most of the time now, it's not like you buy 10 and then we'll give you this variant.
Right.
You have the option to
Right.
buy the variant at that point. So if they didn't do that, how many books would, a local shop buy?
A lot
because a lot less. So that's interesting. I wonder though if they just do like if you have like 20, like look up Death of Wolverine and look up how many variants there really was. I mean, it got into where they're like doing letters, A, B, C, D, double A, double B, right? And I don't know what the variance differences were, because I didn't look them up because I was just like, this is ridiculous. I'm going to stick with the normal. Because if you look, I think the normal books tend to outsell the variants and are worth more. Now, obviously, that's not true for everything that happens, but when you oversaturate, that happens. And so I understand the need for doing variants. I just think that they need to cut down on the amount that they do.
I'm pulling up Death of Wolverine, trying to find out how many variants there were. Looks like there was a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. Matter of fact, I think when I went, the comic book store that I bought it from looked it up. I think he's the one who told me it was like 24 different variants on it for not just the first one, like for all of them. And it's like, how do you even like as a comic book store owner, how do you even look at that and say, yeah, I want to get every single one of these variants? So how does that work?
And you can't because like they'll do variants for like store variants. So certain stores will have their own variant cover. They'll do exclusive show variants at different cons around the world. They'll do shows you can only get like in Australia or Mexico. So you've been collecting all the variants for a cover is incredibly hard.
I see those variants are cool. Like you go to SDCC or you go to the New York Comic Con or Emerald Comic Con, and they have specific variants for those specific shows. That is really cool. That doesn't bother me at all.
Right. Because that's an event. That's something you're getting from an event that you can only get there.
It's a different set altogether. Forcing comic book stores to purchase all this stuff. But then again, a comic book publisher like Marvel don't make the same kind of money that they used to make. Now they make they're beyond belief stocked with cash because of being purchased by Disney and having all the movie money coming in and all the licensing, and so they're not. And maybe that's another part is how much money do you really need? At what point do you go, you know what, we have this great name, we have the licensing, and we can get these amazing writers, these amazing artists, and maybe we just don't have to do as much because our name itself is going to sell those. And maybe our money goes from 10 million or 100 million, whatever they make a year, and it decreases by 20% because they're not pushing out these variants. And my numbers, I have no idea what I'm talking about with them. But I know they made a bunch of freaking money when they sold to Disney. And I know they're making money every time those movies come out.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we can sit here and say it because, we're lovers of the genre and, I'm a creator, but that's not how business works, right? They're going to try and pump as much money people as they possibly can, no matter what. I have it here. They did 23 variants for Death of Wolverine.
I was one off.
Yeah.
Sorry. That is ridiculous. Yeah. How do you even, at that point as a businessman, that doesn't make sense because you can't market that many variants for one cover to who you're going to market to.
That's a great segue. Let's go ahead and go into the list here I wanted to go through. How do you market this number of variants? Yeah. So here it, I mean, I don't want to get into a thing where we do top 10 lists, but this is the top 10 list that I found online that I want to go about. This is from, just so I give credit to where I pulled this from. It's from zapkapowcomics.com is where I got it from. They show the top 10 as of February of this year, right? Number of variants for covers. So Star Wars Vader Down #1 had 45 variants.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Marvel.
Archie #1 had 45 variants.
So let's say the publisher as you read it.
Archie one's from Archie Comics.
Right. They're their own publisher.
Yeah, they're their own publisher. Yeah.
And then you know what? Just real quick, I'm sorry. Right. They're killing it because they put out Riverdale.
Oh yeah, Riverdale's and actually that Archie series, if you read that Archie series by Mark Waid and Fiona Staples, it's really good. It's amazing. Like it's good.
The TV show is interesting. Yeah. It's like, what? This is the Archie I remember.
Right. No, the new Archie's pretty dang good.
Okay, so we got I'm sorry, I totally interrupted.
That's all right.
You. So
Vader Down from Marvel.
#1.
It's number 10. Vader Down from Marvel.
Number 10.
45 variants. Archie #1 from Archie with 45 variants at number 9. And then at number 8, Amazing Spider-Man #1 from 2014 had, after they brought him back after Superior Spider-Man, they had 49 variants for that.
Marvel.
And Marvel again at number 7 for US Avengers in 2017. #1 had 64 variants.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Harley Quinn #1 from 2016. This one kind of irritated me. This is a DC one, and usually DC is pretty good about not doing this bullshit. But Harley Quinn #1 from 2016 for DC Rebirth had 79 variants.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's thanks to her rise in popularity and the fact that when they relaunched her in 2014 during New 52, they only put out, they had the regular cover and then they had, the Adam Hughes variant, which I have a copy of, which is amazing.
Right.
Which, that issue alone's gone up in value to like $300. It was the one variant they put out, but they ended up doing like six printings of that book. So that book ended up having 8 different covers, which I'm okay with new covers for a new printing of a book. I'm fine with that. That's not a big deal, right? If it's going to a second or third or fourth print, slap a new cover on it. Perfect. I like it.
I like that because then you see that cover, you're like, that's the second print.
Exactly.
That's a third.
But this one, 79 printings. Come on, or variants.
Yeah.
All right. At number 5, back to Marvel, is Star Wars #1 from 2015 with 80 covers.
Oh my god!
And this one gets me because this one is something that they keep. This number keeps going up. The Walking Dead #1 is up to 83 variants because they keep putting out new show variants every freaking year. So every year,
but those are all just show variants. Does that count though?
It does count
because it's different show variants, and really when you look at those variants, they're reprints. You can't call that a first print. I think you should. If you're going to do variants, I think you can only count it as a first print.
No, they're reprints, but it counts as it's the same book with a new cover on it.
Yeah, but people want Walking Dead #1
They do.
Because you can't just go and buy it. So they're like, hey, if I can get it at Emerald City, then I'm going to get it at Emerald City, and I'm going to have the Emerald City variant cover, and they'll be happy. So the Walking Dead one doesn't bother me.
So here's one.
It bothers you.
Back to another DC one is The Dark Knight 3, The Master Race #1 had 91 variants.
91. Yeah. Oh my god! How many times can you draw Batman on a cover?
Here's a note. After just 5 issues, the entire series of the first 5 issues had 146 covers.
Oh my god!
Yeah, thank you, DC. All right, now we're back to. Actually, I don't know who this one is, but Godzilla Kingdom of Monsters, whoever published that one, had 104 variants.
I think that's IDW.
I think so too. Yeah, but 104 freaking variants.
Wow.
And the winner of all, the issue that irritates the crap out of me because this is so stupid, The Amazing Spider-Man number 666 has 145 variant covers.
What? Why?
Because Marvel did a thing where they said, hey, if you buy 500 copies of this book, we'll let you do your own cover for store variants. And a bunch of stores around the world did it. And it's kind of genius for the store because they're guaranteed sellers, right? They're going to sell all 500 of those no matter what. Because you're going to have, there's going to be collectors around the world who are going to want to try and get as many covers as they can. And they're going to buy from you and they're going to buy that cover for $30, $40, $50. I had a guy on one of the forums I was on who found out I was in Seattle who asked me to go to Golden Age Collectibles and get the cover from there for him and ship it to him, which I did because he's a friend of mine. But he ended up getting all 145 variants. And some of these ones you have to buy from like Australia or Brazil.
Shut up. He bought 145 different copies of Spider-Man number 666.
Yes, he did.
Chump,
but that's and what's frustrating.
Wow.
What's frustrating to me about these variant covers is like, okay,
are they worth anything?
They are. They're worth $20, $30 a piece or more, depending on where they're from. But if you look it up, and after the show, go and look it up. But there's all these store variant covers are one of two things. It's either the store name is on a cover of the Daily Bugle and all the art is the same throughout various covers, so it's just the store name. or there's like the Lizard and Spider-Man fighting in a comic book store, and the name of your store is the name that goes across the banner on the top. So it's not.
Oh, that's gimmicky.
Yeah, so it's not like it's an actual. Hey, let's draw a cover for you. It's hey, give us your store name, pay us a bunch of money, and we'll slap it right here.
Oh my god, I'd be so pissed.
Yeah, it's
because really what they should have done is said, hey. You buy this mini, you get to do a special cover of your comic books, for your comic book store on Amazing Spider-Man 666, but you have to submit the art.
Right.
That's what they should have done. And then, as a local comic book store, you could have ran a contest for local artists to say you will be on a published copy of Amazing Spider-Man as the cover artist, and you'll get credentials. Oh my god!
My buddy Salvatero, right? He's an artist. He was the artist on shit until.
Oh, you're his buddy, and you can't remember.
Shut up! I got it. It's Until We Sleep. Yeah. Anyways,
it's what?
I think it was called. I'm gonna have to check now.
You can't say you think. Oh, you better look that shit up. Edit this out, man, because I'm calling that fucker and saying, dude, did you see?
Well, I didn't read it. So.
You don't know me, but I know John Horsley, and you should have heard him talk about you.
I was right. Fuck you. It's Until We Sleep. So there was a horror comic.
What's that about?
Cool. I know. I didn't read it, but it's. Well, I didn't buy a copy of it, so I don't know. But he drew it. He's an artist on this comic called Until We Sleep. In the first like 2 issues, then he left over whatever reasons, right? But he got a lot of attention because he did a cover for a local comic book store that was that store's variant cover for an issue of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So cool. IDW had a contest, like you were just saying, and the store said, okay, we'll have a contest for a local artist around here. He submitted his cover. His cover was picked, so he's on a published issue of a Turtles book, which there's now he's in the CGC registry as a cover artist. There's issues of his cover where he signed it, and like Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird have signed it, stuff like that. And because of that, he now goes to cons a lot. He now gets to go to cons a lot more. He's been on panels at cons talking about making comics. He teaches creating comics in his local libraries and stuff like that. So it's doing that has really helped him grow his comic career just by the fact that he's able to submit a really good cover and get it published on a name book.
See, that is awesome. Yeah. See, I don't understand why would they do that. Is so gimmicky to have a couple different covers, and all they're doing is adding your store name.
Right.
That is terrible. Oh, that really disappoints me. I mean, Stan Lee would be like, get out of here.
No, Stan Lee would be like, it doesn't make money. Okay, good. We're good. So on the same topic of variant covers here, how do you feel about like homage covers?
Okay. You know what, Johnny, I gotta tell you something. So I re-listened to episode 1.
Yeah.
And you said homage, and then I said homage. And it's not homage, it's homage.
Oh, fuck, it is.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God. And I kept saying homage, and I was like, it's homage. It's an homage, not an homage.
Oh, damn it. All right. So correction of the first episode is I can't fucking say words right.
No, it's all good because it's funny. And we go back, and so,
How do you feel about homage covers?
Well, we actually brought that up in the first episode.
We did. A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, we did a little bit. I do like a good homage. I don't like it when it's pandering.
I agree.
And I don't like to be pandered to.
Right.
But like I said, the new issue of Punisher number 13 of the latest volume has the homage to the first appearance of Punisher. But instead of Punisher, it's Mary Jane Watson. And instead of Spider-Man being in the sights, it's Mephisto. But it's still just the Punisher comic book inside. And it's cool. It's a neat cover. I like that because I think it's just kind of a fun thing to do. But again, it's a variant, right? It's like a 1 in 10 variant or 1 in 25 variant, whatever it is.
Right.
But I did like that. It was fun.
See, I like homage covers too, to a degree. I like it when you have an issue in a regular series that isn't a variant, but it's an homage to an older cover, to an older story, and the story and the cover that they're doing makes sense because it's kind of similar or ties to it or something like that, right? Like in Action Comics when Superman died and they did Funeral for Our Friends and they brought back like Action 697 or 687 or something like that. It was Action Comics featuring Supergirl, and the cover was an homage to Action Comics number 1 with her holding the car instead of Superman holding a car.
Ah, that's cool.
It was great.
That's a great cover, man.
It was great because it made sense for the comic, right? And it had her on it, so you knew, okay, Supergirl's here, she's back, or she's here, shit's gonna go down, and it makes sense in the context of the story. I don't like homage covers. I'm trying not to say homage covers or whatever I said before. So hard. But anyways, where it's just like, okay, here's a comic book. Let's just slap Spider-Man 300 on the cover of that, somebody in a weird pose looking like Spider-Man, and we'll sell that for it has no reason. It has no ties to the comic whatsoever, but let's just slap it on there to sell more issues. Like, well, no.
Like, didn't they do that on the 700 issue? Wasn't it the same as the 300?
No.
It just said 700 all over it?
No. It was the 700 issue was just his eyes, but the second printing of 700 was Doc Ock in that pose.
Yeah, see,
But that kind of makes sense if you know the storyline, because in 700, Peter Parker and Doc Ock trade brains or trade consciousness, and Peter Parker becomes Doc Ock, so it makes sense for Doc Ock to be in that pose because he becomes a superior Spider-Man in that issue at the end of it.
You know how they came up with the 700, right?
Huh? What do you mean?
Well, they were in the middle of a renumbering when they did that. And so they counted up all the renumbers
Yeah.
and all that stuff, just like they're doing now for Legacy, and said, "Oh, we're at 700," and just released it.
They're so Marvel.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Pick a numbering system and stay with it, please. You did it in the 90s, you did it in the 2000s, you're doing it now. Just pick something and stick with it.
Yeah. So this is what I like about covers that harken back to an earlier time. I think that a good artist studies what came before him, right?
Right.
I think most artists look at Jack Kirby and go, I want to make hands like that. Because when I see Jack Kirby art, that's the first thing I look at is the hands.
Right.
Because they're square for the most part. And really, there's a lot of people that do much better job. But they're always like jetting out at you, or there's always like a 3D effect with Jack Kirby stuff, and his costume design was ridiculous.
Right,
and I
he was
think
good.
A lot of artists go back and study what someone like Neil Adams was doing and Steve Ditko was doing, because some of those early Steve Ditko comics for Spider-Man they're really good, man.
Right.
The storylines were really good. The art was really fantastic. Some of those Neil Adams stuff with Green Arrow and Green Lantern hooking up together. Those covers are ridiculous, and then the art inside it looks amazing. And I think that if you're an artist today and you do an homage to a Neil Adams cover or to a Jack Kirby cover, or I don't know who did the cover for Spider-Man 129 with the first appearance of Punisher. I don't know who that was. It's probably what's his name? His son is drawing comics now for a long time as
John
well.
Romita?
Yeah, it was probably John Romita, because I think that's his timeline that he was doing Spider-Man. I think from that perspective, I think that is showing respect for those who came before you, that paved the way and showed you how to be a comic book artist and just to frame a story and to create a cover and to convey emotion just through your art. I think that's really cool. You did a bunch of covers the last 2 years
I did.
of stuff that you liked a lot, and you're like, I'm gonna redo this cover in my fashion and the way I do art. And it was really cool. You did a lot of them. They were cool looking.
Yeah, I was just doing basically what I did is I wanted to just kind of study those covers and try and recreate them in my style with my characters and have fun with it. So I did a bunch of.
But you said it right there. You were studying those covers.
Yeah. And also to answer your
cool.
question, Spider-Man 129 was drawn by Gil Kane and John Romita.
Gil Kane and John.
And if you don't know who Gil Kane is, he was the guy who created Hal Jordan Green Lantern. And he created the modern day Ray Palmer Atom as well.
Well, there you go.
He also co-created Iron
characters.
Fist with Roy Thomas. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love. I don't want to say I love homage covers, but I think there's a good place for them, and when they're done right. And I honestly just think you should, if they're going to do those, and they do them as a variant or they do them as the normal cover, whatever it is, then I hope that they just tell the artist, hey, we really want to have something in this style of Romita Sr. Okay.
Right.
And then if I'm that artist, I'm going through a lot of classic Romita covers where you're like, oh, this is the one that spoke to me when I was 12 years old.
Right.
And I first started to draw Spider-Man, or whoever it is.
Right. I still think, I'm agreeing with you for the most part. I still think that for me as a reader and as a collector, I like it when the cover has something to do with the story inside. And I feel like in current times right now, the covers on variants have nothing to do with the story inside, period. It's like they're taking artists who can draw really, really awesome pinups of their characters and slap them on a cover to sell more copies. And I'm not super cool. Okay. I mean, I don't know. It is what it is. You do what you do to make money. That's fine. It's just, personally, it's like, I would rather the cover have something to do with it. My only exception to that, and I always have an exception, is when they do theme months, like they'll do Marvel did their hip hop cover month where each cover was like a hip hop album, which was pretty funny and cool.
Yeah.
Or, DC does like their Neil Adams month where they had a variant cover where each cover was drawn by Neil Adams. They had a cover like the Batman 75 month where they had a variant cover where each cover was that issue characters with Batman, some kind of retrospect of him over 75 years. The Flash ones are cool because it was like they took these classic covers, an homage cover from various issues, and added Flash into them. And somehow, so those were
right.
cool because those homage covers were taking something that was classic and adding some new element to it, and celebrating a character for 75 years. Now those are cool, and I kind of like the theme months in that respect. But I also, I'm fine with that. I just don't care for 15, 16 covers for each issue.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like right now, Marvel's doing. I think a lot of variants are featuring Mary Jane Watson.
Yeah, they're doing Mary Jane. They did Venom covers. Now they're doing Mary Jane covers. They did Gwen Stacy covers, and it's like
it's interesting. But you're right. I mean, if there's nothing germane to what's inside, it gets kind of. I mean, I like the way they did it on Punisher because it's a harken back to Punisher's first appearance.
Right.
So it didn't bother me.
In that story,
I think Mephisto
is Mephisto in that story?
No.
Oh.
That's the thing, right? Because Punisher, when you read a Punisher comics, it's rare that there's a mutant or a superhero of any kind. He generally is fighting gangs and just street thugs.
Right. And murdering them all.
That's why it's okay that he kills them all.
So here's the thing. Like, they're doing... When DC does generally now, they started doing this a couple years ago because it helped them sell more issues, which I can't fault them for. They had the regular cover, then they'd have a variant cover for certain issues, say like 20 other stories would have a variant cover that would all be a theme: Teen Titans theme, Harley Quinn theme, Batman themed, monster themed, classic movie cover theme, something like that, which were cool. And what was the coolest thing about those variant covers they did is they weren't like a 1 in 10 variant. They were, hey, you're a comic book store. If you want to order 10 of the regular cover, go ahead. But if you also want to order 10 of the variant cover, go ahead. There were a 1 in 1. You could order, the stores could order one of each, no problem. There's no incentive,
right? Which
is cool because as a store, you can go, okay, I'm going to buy some regular covers, but I'm going to buy some of these variant covers too because I know those are going to sell too, and it's not going to cost. I'm not going to have to order more than what I would normally order just to get one of these. I could buy 5 of them and sell it to 5 of my people and make money off it. And as a collector, you can go in, you can just get that cover off the rack and not have to pay $10, $20, $30 for it. What I don't like about what Marvel's doing right now is they're doing the Mary Jane month and the Gwen Stacy and stuff like that. And I think they have one cover that's this regular price. You can order 1 in 1, and that's fine. I'm not sure. I haven't really been into collecting newer books right now, the last year or so, but I do follow it online a little bit. But they'll also have like the Unknown Comics variant, get all 5 variant covers where it's like, get the full colored cover, get the black and white cover, get the alternate colored cover, get the virgin cover with no writing on it, get the color one in green, get the one colored in red. And it's like the same cover, but different colorings or no color or no words. And it's like, okay, so now I have 6 comics you want me to buy to get all of them. It's all this exact same cover, but just different colorings of them, and they all cost different no.
Right.
And DC's doing it too, right? DC's doing it too. The Super Sons had this.
If it's working for one, then the other one's going to do it.
They're both doing it. And it's, they can do what they want to make money. I just don't like it.
I get it. It's a business too before it's for our,
Right.
It's not just for our enjoyment, our individual enjoyment.
Damn it, it should be. I'm important.
It should be.
My mom says so.
Damn it. Yeah, I'm special. My mom told me all the time.
Right. Your mom told me too.
Well, she said you're special ed, but that's all right.
It's special something.
I just had an idea.
Yeah.
Why don't we do 2 episodes? And let's think about this. We can't do them this weekend, obviously. We're getting ready. We're going to get down. We're going to be in San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah.
I hope that's going to be an amazing experience. We're completely sponsored by Mill Geek Comics out of Mill Creek. Amazing store, amazing staff. Get over there. Get your books, get your magic cards. Go play some tournaments. They have tournaments almost every weekend, I think every weekend, and sometimes during the week. And I know that they're developing a system where if you're new to Magic and you want to learn how to play Magic, you can go there and they will sit down.
That's awesome.
And they will teach you Magic.
That's awesome.
And I think they're having it on certain days, and they have people that really know the game and know how to play it and know how to build a deck, and they will walk you through and teach you how to do that. So that's a big deal.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I tried playing Magic back a long time ago. It's not for me, but yeah, get down there, check it out. They're a great group of guys. But I have an idea.
Okay,
let's do 2 episodes when we get back, and let's have one be why DC is better than Marvel.
Okay,
and then the next one we have why Marvel is better than DC.
So you want to record one full episode with why DC is better than Marvel, but then you want to record like a short episode with Marvel because like 1 minute or 2.
Yeah, maybe each episode is only a half hour long. Maybe it's 45. Maybe you don't know, because
right. No, that's a good idea.
We don't script our show. I want people to understand this. We do not script our show.
I think we
say these are the topics we're going to talk about, and then we go for it because we have because we both love this genre so much, we just talk about it. Even when we're not doing our podcast, we're still talking about comics.
Right. We should just record all the time.
Yeah, we should just record all the time, have personal recorders where we're just going back and forth.
Right.
But because I know, and I mentioned this in the first episode, that you love Marvel Universe and you love the individual characters. You do, because you know so much about them.
Yeah.
You sit there and you say, I don't like this or no, but you just don't like the way they run their business or the renumberings or anything like that. But you do love the characters because you know everything there is about Spider-Man. You know everything there is about X-Men. You know, to a point.
To a point, yeah, I know a lot of stuff about those characters. Yes,
You can talk for hours about them. Yeah. Okay, and then DC, you're on another level with DC because you really fell in love with DC, and I think your dad had a lot to do with that.
He did.
I think there's an emotional attachment there that you don't have with Marvel because of your relationship with your father.
Right.
It's amazing, but I think it would be cool to see how we both like what we like more on those things, because there's things that Marvel does that you do like better.
That's true. That is true.
And it'd be cool to kind of ferret those out.
You know, I think that's a good idea. We'll put that on the books. We get back from after our plethora of San Diego Comic-Con, whatever we put out for that. You know, we'll sit down and we'll have those as our two topics, and it's for 2 episodes. I think that'll be a good conversation because I have a lot of good things and bad things to say about both companies, to be honest.
Right. And we'll see. And while we're talking good about DC, you can say all the things you don't like about Marvel. And maybe we'll need that one to be a 3-hour episode.
No, I can talk I can talk a lot of shit about DC too. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, I know, but you can save that
Yeah.
for when we say why Marvel is better, you know? Yeah. Because there's some things that Marvel has done that is very iconic and changed the way more comic books are done.
Oh, 100%, definitely.
Right. But at the same time, the characters, the rogue gallery alone in Batman is the greatest rogue gallery throughout all of comicdom.
Oh yeah, throughout all of literature. I mean, think of any character.
All of literature.
Well, think of any character that has a better villainy background than what Batman has. You know, it doesn't exist.
But this is what I'm saying. So there's a lot of material there, and I think it'd be kind of really fun. And then we can talk about different publishers as well. It's like maybe we talk about just about Image, and we just go through Image titles throughout the decades.
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, I think we can start with the DC Marvel ones and kind of see where that takes us. And I think it's a good topic to go to further what we're doing here. So yeah, I'm on board.
Yeah, cool. So what's our next review, Johnny? What's the next book are we reviewing?
The next book we're reviewing is I Hate Fairyland by Scotty Young.
Or what's the alternate title?
Fuck Fairyland. And we're not going to say anything now. We'll go into our what our likes and dislikes of just the title are when we talk on the episode.
Right. And we have a special guest for that one.
We will. So my close friend, writing partner on my old webcomic, and currently one of the writers and artists on the Irons anthology, John Anderson, is going to be joining us. He's going to come over to the studio here and sit next to me. And he recommended this book to me. He's a big fan of Scotty Young's work, and so I'm really curious to see what the three of our thoughts are on this book. Because this isn't a book that I would normally read. I'll be honest. I like Scotty Young's art. The art in the book is fantastic, but it's not a genre or a type of book that I would normally pick up and buy and read. So I'm wanting to do it because John's been asking me to read this book since it came out. He's like, hey, you need to read this, you need to read this, you need to read this. I'm like, okay, whatever. So finally, this is going to force me to read. I've already read the first 4 issues, and I'm going to finish it up before it. I'm curious to see the way the three of us kind of come together on this and how similar and different our viewpoints on this book are, because we're all coming to it a little differently.
Right. And I purchased volume 1. I read the first 2 issues, so I got to finish that. Because it was funny that you brought that up. I Hate Fairyland or Fuck Fairyland by Scotty Young, because I had actually just purchased a few copies of that.
Right.
I actually put it on my pull list. Then you said, hey, we're going to do a review of this. And I was like, all right, let's, but I hadn't read it yet. I just thought the covers looked interesting. I thought the title was different.
It gets your attention.
Yeah, it got my attention, and I knew who Scotty Young was or is, I should say. And I really like his art. I think the guy does a stupendous job. So I was interested in reading it. Yeah. And then he's like, hey, my buddy wants to come on, wants to review it, talk about it, tell us what we think, tell him what he thinks, and we'll go from there. And I thought, perfect. It's a great idea.
Are we doing a pre San Diego show on Monday?
I think we have to.
All right, so it'll probably be a short one.
Yeah.
It'll probably be a short one. So our next episode is going to be just a pre-talk show about what we're getting ready, what we're planning on doing in San Diego and stuff like that. And we'll record that Monday evening, and we'll try and power edit it and get it up Monday night so it's there for you. And then starting, not Tuesday, but starting Wednesday, we'll probably have, actually even Tuesday, we'll probably have something for the drive down. But we're going to try and do stuff. I mean, we'll talk about all this on the Monday show, but, San Diego's going to have a lot of content.
That is our show. I appreciate anyone who has listened and anybody who may listen in the future.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on board and going through this journey with us.
Before we go, if you have any questions or want to hit us up, we're on Twitter at Spoiler Country there. Just hit us up there. We're on Instagram. We're on SoundCloud. We're on YouTube. We're on Google Play.
Facebook.
We're on Facebook. So just find us there. If you have something you want to say to us, just say it to us. If you want to email us, you can email us at spoilercountry@gmail.com. And if you want to say something about the show, we'll happy to read it.
Yes. Happy to read it. We'll be ecstatic to read it.
And with that said, peace.
Peace.